G'day and welcome back for more Space Engineers Survival. And that was a longer intro than usual, but I figured it was a good way to get all of this drilling done. Now we've got plenty of space to expand into, and what I think we should be doing next is unpark... Well, actually, I can do this with your inventory directly. Yay! What I want to do is pop a few of these, and what we're going to do is we are going to remember that I need to just unlock the connector. Oh, what have I done? Why can't I drive? Why won't you drive? Oh, I know why you won't drive. Ha! Oh man, what a start. Oh boy. Didn't take the battery off recharge. Splitsy, you're an idiot. Good move. Good move. Alright. Now, what I want to do first today, other than make myself look like an idiot, is I would like to remodel this thing we've got out here so that we can use it to, well, so that we can actually lay out the proper plans for the expansion section. So what I need it to be is everything for an entire section, including the floor blocks, because after we've upgraded this layout plan, I am going to build a welding ship, and that means we can take advantage of projecting this and quickly building it, which should make the expansions much quicker. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to clear out all of these catwalk pieces, and then once they're gone, we can start copying the floor from inside. Now that I've ground off all the pieces that don't need to be on the hangar guide, I need to lay out the floor and add in the extra piece for the gap here so that we can just keep extending the hangar perfectly with that blueprint. And what I need to remember first is that it's all interior blocks around, so I need to add that on one side of our blueprint. And the floor is going to be one block in. Those interior blocks with the lights up, I'm pretty sure is how I did that. So let's lay those ones out. And I'll just do it piecemeal like that. Before I grind off this control panel, let's change the name of this. Drilling guide, hangar section complete. Just for lack of a more creative name for it. So this should be everything we need. We've got all of our floor, we've got our roof bits, we've got our joining part. Each section should match up perfectly, so all I have to do is line up this one onto the next, as to be the next row of blocks. The only things I'll have to change will be the sections where I access the knocked out garages for each of the vehicles. And I don't want to put anything in there yet because I think each one's going to be a bit individualized for the particular vehicle that's going to be parking there. And now I just need to blueprint this. Then hopefully it won't require much in the way of fiddling to get our projector to line everything up right, because it should be a pretty similarly oriented blueprint. Let's check. Yes, it's good. It's good. All right, let's grab our projector and line this thing up properly. So it'll be there. There we go. Perfect. Now, we need a welding ship. And we need a welding ship so that we can do all of this. There's so much welding to do. And I am not doing it by hand. So, I've previously in a tutorial built a welding ship. And I think we'll go roughly off that plan, as if I recall correctly, it's going to look like a bit of a baby butterball, which to me is kind of perfect. I like the idea of making a baby butterball. That's going to be difficult to say if I have to say it a lot. So, what do we need for a welding ship? Let's use this toolbar. We're going to need those, we're going to need those, not going to need those, not going to need that. We will need that temporarily, don't need that, don't need that, don't need that. We're going to have this one be piloted, and I suppose later we could attempt to build a non-piloted one. Now, for welding and grinding ships, don't use these. Just don't. They don't work. Well, they work for only a few small components, but for most of them, stick with your conveyor tubes or your conveyor frames if you're making it out of small ship parts. And welder, we need, so we got thrusters, we're gonna need batteries. And that is the bulk of it. So, I suppose we can just lay it out in here. Although it is pretty dark in here. Let's go outside. Let's do it in the sun. Ish. Oh, we'll do it up here, where we often build. I like building here. It will eventually not be dark in the hangar. I do want to change that. Oh, that's close enough. It's not very level, but this will work. So we'll place down our landing gear, extend up a little bit, place down a cockpit. Then we are going to use one of these, oriented this way. Actually, let's orient it that way. And same again here. The reason I'm orienting these this particular way is that all sides on the horizontal have large conveyor ports, and that's really important for welding ships and grinding ships because we want to be able to pass all types of components through the conveyor system. Then we'll use one medium cargo container. It's not going to have a huge capacity, this thing, but hopefully it'll be enough to still be quite useful, especially compared to my small inventory size on my person. Now, next up, let's go with one of these. Now, where do I want to line it up? Yeah, like that. And another one over here. And this is how it's going to look like the baby butterball with the two large thrusters. Then we will go with, let's have some sideways thrust here. Some sideways thrust here. Maybe we can get 6 in there actually. Then for our reverse, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Don't think we'll be able to get 6 in there with what I've got planned next. Oh, actually, let's move those one block forward. What I want to do is have one battery here. We want lots of battery power for this so that it can stay flying for a reasonable amount of time. Then we have a battery just forward. And the reason we want that just forward is so that we can fit these on here. And then these will also fit up here. Then we need a couple of gyroscopes. And that's most of what we need for this little thing. We will also want to add a couple of other blocks, which are an antenna would be handy, a sensor, and we're going to build this one with some automated, what's the term I'm looking for? Safety features. We're going to have some safety features on this. And so to get that safety feature, we're going to put a sensor on the front there. We're going to put an antenna up here with a projector block just behind it. And that projector will be for automatic repairs or easier repairs of this, as I have a tendency to knock about my welding ships. Since they are being rubbed up against blocks to get the welders to work, I find I do a bit of damage to them, and at least having that projector and having an easier repair setup would be handy. Okay, that is the bulk of the ship. I'm going to weld up those parts, and then, like with the Goose, I think we'll have minimal armor, and we'll go with the what's become the company color scheme, the yellow, white, and dark grey. Okay, it's mostly finished. I haven't completely welded it up, but the only parts missing are, oops, some interior plates that I did not remember about. But mainly we're missing the motors that we need for the atmospheric thrusters around the place. But I thought I would take this opportunity while we wait for those to be made to set up this sensor. This is something I didn't do when I made my welder tutorial, and it's something I probably should have put in there, but I didn't want to complicate things with sensors. But now, we are going to set this sensor up. The way I tend to use welding ships is I tend to hop in the cockpit and have both a weapons and tools, have that on my hotbar, but also grab our two welders, make them a group, and have them as a toggleable on and off group. The reason I like to have that is I often find that I'm flying around with these on all the time anyway, so I don't want to have to go through the hassle of keeping my index finger down on the left mouse button. That means that there's a risk I'll leave them on as I hop out, and then they'll kill me when I do so. Something that can help prevent that is setting up this sensor. And what we're going to do is we're going to go to info, we're going to go show sensors field range, hop in here, grab our sensor and show on HUD. And now we can see its range. Probably don't need it to be quite that big. It does cost power to keep these things running. So what I'm going to do is reduce the left extent down to, we need it to extend a bit beyond where the welder is, so maybe 2.8, which means we'll make the right extent the same. We don't need it to go too far back. Oops. Don't need it to be particularly deep either. Could probably drop that down to 1. Then top extent comes down to, let's see what 2 looks like. Yeah, that's probably about right. Then front extent, let's see where we run into the welders. Probably 2.5 is good. And back extent can come right in, I think. Maybe we'll just go to there. So then anytime my body is within kill range of these welders, we want this sensor to simply turn the welders off. So the sensor will have setup actions, groups, toggle off. That means if I accidentally leave them on and I want to get back in the ship, if I get within this sensor range, they will turn off. Hopefully, and I haven't tested this and I'm not keen to in survival, hopefully those ranges are good. If someone has a bit more experience dying to these things, I'm happy to take input on whether I need to extend any of these field ranges to make it a bit more effective. But for now, I think that'll work, and hopefully this means we will now have enough motors to finish this thing off. And with that, we are finished. So this thing is pretty much everything it needs to be right now. It could use a little bit of styling, and I think we'll add that in a moment. But so that it's ready to go, let's take it inside and park it on one of the connectors. And also, let's turn off our sensor field range. We don't need to see that anymore. Oh, yeah. Let's add one more thing before we go flying this around. Something kind of important. We need some light. We need plenty of light. And we don't really need long range lights. I'm going to put a couple of lights on the front here, although I would rather them be symmetrical. Like so. I know I probably don't need two on the front, but it does look kind of... I think it looks better that way. And down the sides here, what I think we will do with the armor is 1, 2, 3, 4, go down like this with one of these at either end. And then we'll cover up these conveyor ports with something like that. Then add a little thing here so that it's a miniature version of the clamps that we've got on the butterball. Match that side to this side. There we go, that looks better on that side, and this side should look the same. Well, once we get it into the garage, we'll paint it because I'll be able to use the colours from the butterball to match it properly to what is now becoming the company colour scheme. Alright, we should be able to use the connector that we had for the tick to both load this up with materials and... whoops. And get this thing powered up. And speaking of powering it up, we need to steal some more battery power from the base, which is... ooh, going to be a bit of an iffy prospect. That's not ideal. Alright. Well, I think with the amount of power we're going to steal, we'll probably end up very, very tight. Now, what I'd like to do here is one like that. Similar to the covering we did on the sides. One there, one there, one there. Except we'll go back a bit further this time. And this one will go all the way to there. Like that. Then on this side, we'll go... we'll wish that I could remember which way... On this side we'll do something like that, and a similar one on this side. Match it all up. And I think that will do reasonably well for armor. I don't want to add too much. This thing's already going to be struggling for weight due to the mass of the components. So probably best not to overcomplicate the armor coating that we put on it. But I do like to cover up some of those cargo ports, as I think it looks a bit nicer with them covered up. Now, for colors. We have the butterball over here. Let's grab our white first. Make sure that I have actually made it all in the correct white. I think I had. Then we'll grab our yellow. And our yellow, I think we'll go down the side. One there. Like that. And underneath, we do these bits. Maybe down the center too? No, just leave it like that. Got an idea for the center. Whoops. Colored a bunch of things there that I didn't want to. Let's fix that. Okay. Now let's get the grey. And we'll do the last little bits of styling. But as you see, I'm keeping it quite simple, but I'll bring the butterball up and you'll see what I mean by this thing looking like a mini butterball. Dark grey for the big thrusters. Realise I missed a thruster. Those can go dark grey. As can you and you. There we go, now that's fixed. That's better. That would have bugged some people. And the other thing I wanted to do with the dark grey was under here. Do these bits. And there we go. We've got our little welding ship. Now, I've had some thoughts about the name for this, but I would really like to get everyone else's thoughts. It is... Oh, actually, before I talk about name fully, let's bring the butterball up and show why I think of it as a as a baby butterball. And baby butterball is just too long a name. So we need something else for the name for this welding ship. And I'm definitely going to put this out there for ideas. So if we hop out now, you can see it does look a little bit like it. There's the obvious similarities because of the cockpit and the tools on the front, but also the colouring. So I think we need to come up with something. So whether it's something related to a miniature turkey, which is in some ways in my head, a chicken is a bit of a miniature turkey. So one idea I did have was foghorn, as in foghorn leghorn, because he's not a miniature chicken. But hopefully there's some better ones out there. I'm not necessarily going to be putting it to a vote. It's more of a just let's get some ideas and see if I like any of them enough that we'll pick it. Let's get some lights on the back of this. And turn off my light. No, I want the light. Give me the light. Let me have the light. Come on, Build Vision. No, no, no. Oh, fine. Alright, let's grab our other lights here. Interior light 4 and 5. There we go. Now it's got plenty of light. How are its batteries going? They're a bit over half charged. Let's take them off recharge now. Let's grab some stuff and pop it in our inventory and try and get a little bit of welding done now. I think that could be a good idea. All right, let's grab some. Oh, actually, let's unlock. Let's go and name our cargo container. So we're going to call this the welder cargo container. That way we'll be able to find it, because we'll be able to find it with our welders as well. So if we go here, then we can just type welder. We'll have the blocks we need, as well as typing... Whoops, need to park first. So if we want to refill this, and I'm sure I could set up an inventory mod for this, but just showing an easy vanilla way of doing this. So we've got our welders over here. Let's start with a bunch of plates. All right, that'll do for now. We'll see how far we get with this bit. Unlock. Let's head out to the front and we'll start just around where the goose is sitting. Oops. Hello? Why aren't you welding? Oh, that's going to be annoying. I have to be very vertical. I didn't want it to be like that. I'm going to have to kind of rock this thing back and forth. This is a problem with the recently reduced range of small grid welders. You used to be able to kind of sit close enough to the ground that it'd all just work. And if we're going to have to do things this way, it's going to be slightly tedious. But it's still going to be quicker than doing it by hand, because I'm not going to have to refill my inventory all of the time. Plus, the walls and roof hopefully will be a bit easier. And once my inventory gets less, I won't have so much of a trouble with my thrusters, because they are certainly struggling with all this weight at the moment. And that's why I didn't put much more inventory on this. I just wanted something that was going to be better than my suit, but didn't need to be perfect in any way. Just needed to be better. Okay, let's turn around. Oops. Ah, I'm stuck in first person. Given the extremely limited range of these small grid welders, it does make me very tempted to play around with a welding ship using a large grid to small grid conversion so we can get, well, we could use an advanced rotor to put a large grid welder on a small grid ship. I don't know that it'll be the most practical thing to fly around, but at least then we'll get a decent range out of the welder. This is incredibly awkward to use, but still quicker than by hand. And that is an important part. There's no way I would have been able to weld up that door even remotely as quickly as I did using this ship, because I would have had to take a trip for every second block back to get resources every single time, because I just can't carry that many plates. Well, other than this little bit of damage that I caused, that was, I guess, moderately successful. Oh, of course, I don't have the part I need. Okay, well, I just used up an awful lot of steel plates and didn't get very far. I've used up a good few thousand plates, and pretty much I got that door finished. I got most of the roof done and a little bit of the floor done. It's going to take quite some time to get all the components that I need for this hangar extension, it would seem. The floor is quite expensive to build. I'm hesitant to place half blocks here, even though it'll save on armor blocks for the floor, because of wanting the underground passageways to have full blocks against them. So once we're down here, I want it to have the full look around it, especially through this segment where we're up against plain armor blocks. I might be able to figure out which ones can be effectively removed, but for now we're just going to stick with it, even though it will cost me a few more plates. But I suspect my thousands of plates was due to the 130 it needs for each of these blocks. Well, 140 for those ones, 130 for the edges. We still haven't even done this door. Well, that is going to take me some time. How unfortunate. If not for the inventory side of things, I suspect things might actually be quicker for me to weld by hand in some situations. It's very difficult with the welding ship to actually get into some of these corners. I've still got a good few thousand there. Excellent. The ship doesn't do so well in getting into them, so I'm going to have to still do some pieces by hand, which is unfortunate. But what you gonna do? Okay, with that section a little bit complete, we could probably put some lights down here. And I think what I will do for the lighting is place it on these interior blocks. If we go one there, one there, and this is regular, so let's put 4 of them across like that. Hopefully these lights, if we set them up correctly, will be able to light up this space reasonably well. I want to try and avoid using spotlights, even though they look cool, because they don't tend to work so well in large spaces when you've got lots of them. So we want to maximize the radius all the way out to, oh yeah, forgot I can use control to make that go quicker. Now, the offset. This we can take advantage of, because I want to push this down lower, and that way it'll spread out much further. What happens when we fiddle with the fallout? Fall out? Fall off. Doesn't really matter. Don't need it to be quite so bright though. There we go. If we set up 4 lights like that, and let's turn the lights off on this little sucker. That is plenty of light. We may only even need 2 of them really. With the lights set up this way, I'm hopeful that we can just repeat this pattern as we go down. These front ones are probably going to be different, but since this almost makes it to halfway between these 2 supports, we should have this pattern of bright, a little bit darker, then bright again, without too much variation as we go down toward the back. It'll give us some little bit of variability, but not too much, and should make it nice and easy to use this space without our headlights on, which is what I would prefer. Well, I did say I was planting. I did say I was planning on building the parking spot for the tick today, but it would appear that we don't really have the resources for that just yet. I'd like to get this floor somewhat complete in this first section, and I'd love to get the doors complete as well. So I'm going to probably start next episode with another welding montage once we've got a whole bunch more blocks built up. And fingers crossed, we'll have enough put together that we will then be able to expand into the wall a little bit. Oh no! No. I did the thing wrong. I'm gonna have to fix that blueprint. Oh, what I've done. Look at what I've done. So I had planned on having the cross paths just as a single one. But because I built the blueprint off this part, I inset it, but that was only meant to be a one-off. The rest of them are meant to be perfectly all in a line here. So I'm going to have to fix that blueprint so that it's actually set up properly. Rats. Rats. Let's fix it. Get rid of these from in there. Get rid of these from in there. And then it's remove these from here. And place in our catwalk opens as our roof. Then I think it's actually quite simple from here. Remove that. Remove that. Place a blank and a blank. And a blank and a blank. And then just plain armor. That's fixed that end. And this end, we just need to grind those out. And it should just be that, and then full armor blocks for these parts. I'm glad I caught that now rather than after I'd already welded everything up. That would have been a major pain, having to grind all those bits out and fix them. That's better. Now the blueprint is correct. Okay, now we're looking better. Now it all lines up properly. Silly. Right, with that fixed, let's talk about what we're going to do next time. Next time, I think we should do something that's slightly unrelated to all of this so that the assemblers and refineries can work their way through all of that iron and hopefully get us enough parts that we can do a big welding montage at the end and get a big chunk of this hangar finished. And what I would like to do next time is build something that only has a single purpose. And that single purpose is going to be... What happened to my sound? Huh. That single purpose is going to be having a new map. And we'll focus the entire episode on getting a full wall-sized map across the 6 LCDs that we can place there. And I'm going to use a ship in order to get the mapping information. A decent chunk of the episode will be spent outside of Space Engineers because it will be in Photoshop and setting things up so that we can import like we did with this one, or like I did with this one, so that we'll have a bigger map and it'll be all up to date with our current information. And then over time, I'll hopefully be able to update that when I find the location of bases and things like that. So there's that, and plenty more to come, and I'll see you then. It's been a while since we finished out here. Let's finish out here. Oh, maybe on the roof.